Okay, I think we're live. Hi guys, this is the part two of Node.js streams. Like this stream is about using Node.js stream library. Um, I have a last time we created uh, a readable stream that reads from a file and then puts it inside another file using a writable stream. And then after that, we added a transform stream that just uses uppercase. And then we made sure to use pipe so we can pipe the input from a readable stream into the output of a readable stream. So if the file is named readable transform writable pipe, just the name of the streams. And what we had is we had a small sample file, and then we had a and then we had a big file that was generated. And last time I said that I'm going to put this in GitHub, and then I ended up not doing that. And the reason is I wanted to show how can we go about having a big sample file in GitHub, or how, I mean, why you should not have it, and how can we go around that. And the idea here is because this test file is just the output of like from this file, have a way to generate that file using Node.js, using the actual readable and writable streams we have here to generate our test file. So we don't have to have the file in GitHub. And then we can commit that and maybe add a node package.js script here to create test data. So it's really simple. Let's start by doing that, and then we can go through and move on to something more interesting. And the idea here is to go to the, what's it called? What we have here, I will show the input and the output, is we have this file that have line 1, 2, 3, lowercase, and we ended up having, let me see, I think it was not this one. I think it was this one. No. Yeah, output transform. And we ended up having the text uppercase. Yeah, this might be useful if you need to have your text uppercase, but let's do something more useful, which is to handle the file line by line and do some logic based on those lines. For example, I hate pair numbers, so we only let line 1 and line 3 through, and line 2 we make it line 5 or something like that. So it's just to show like how can you go around doing this, and maybe we can use something like from a real life example of using an actual CSV file, and maybe go through some libraries to do that to make our lives easier. But let's go through and start by creating our script and putting this up into GitHub. So the first thing I created is I created a gitignore file, which is just have a list of files that should not be uploaded to Git, or like not uploaded only, but managed by Git. Git ignores these. So you can have like your passwords, your environment variables in here, like for your local machine, and Git won't keep them in history. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to create a directory. If the Mac allows me, okay? Let's create a directory here. A new directory, and this one will have will be named resources. And this one, we're going to create another folder there named generated. So inside this file name generated, we're going to have the sample data that is too big to put in GitHub that we can generate so we can run our tests. So this is it's really simple. So what we need to do here is we need to add an instruction here to ignore that file. Resources that, and that means that any file in here will be ignored. So let's see. Let's do Come on. And I'm adding a git commit to update the generated directory inside. Right. So let me know if my keyboard is too loud. I'm running some noise cancelling app, but I'm using a really tactile keyboard that makes it like really loud sometimes. So let me know about that. Maybe I can move the microphone a bit, and that will make it hopefully better. And I know this part is a bit not as exciting as working with streams, but I just wanted to show how to go around and creating the generated data. So let's create, so let's move the sample one, which is this one. Let's move it in here. Reflect. Okay. And I think I did something wrong actually. Because that should have been ignored, but no, it's not ignored actually. No, it's ignored. Okay. I don't get what. No, let's get back to this. This should ignore the directory, but it's ignored. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. I see what I'm doing wrong. We'll figure it out later. Okay, so we have the sample file one here, and then we need to redo all of our files that what's called that reference this for them to work. But before that, let's create the script to generate the data there. So let's create a new GS file, JavaScript file, and let's name this one generate test data. And we're going to use the what's called the data we have here, one of these scripts that read data from a file and pipe it to another file. And then we're going to call that function like 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, just to like read it from a file and paste it to a file 100 times. So that's all it did. And the reason why I'm not using like cat, which would do it really simply, uh, is some people won't be able to run this on Windows if they don't have Bash. I mean, hopefully you have if you have Git installed. But if in the off chance you don't have that, you have Node.js at least. So let's use Node.js. And it's a time to fail a bit using streams because I probably do something stupid and won't make it. So let's copy and paste this here to generate this data. And okay, so what this does, it reads from a file. Let's name this file to sample, and it outputs to what's called uh, resources. I know resources slash generated, and then let's name this sample. Big sample because it's a big sample, and then let's so what this does, it reads from this and it writes to that file. So now what we need to do is we need to run this, I don't know, 100 times, 200 times to get that data we need. And to do that, we need to be able to append. So I'm going to look up how to append to a file in Node.js. So I'm going to switch to this one. And now I'm like looking at how can I create a file stream where I can append instead of just writing to the file. And so create writable stream have an options in the second field, and that options allows you to actually specify a flag, which is A, that means it's a path. So let's go ahead and use that. So instead of having the, where is it? Instead of having create writable stream directly, then we're going to have another field, the second field, which is um, flag A, and then let's add this flag. Okay, and I will just switch to the code. How would I switch to split? Is it like, does it look good here with the split, or is it too small? Let me check. And I don't really know how bad the lag is. It's like 30 seconds or more. Um, I don't have a wired internet connection, so there isn't really a lot I can do about that. So let's remove this, and let's clean. So this should, in theory, read from a file and append to it. So let's try this actually. So let's run node and generate, come on, generate data. And it fades because no such file. Okay, so the append flag is actually not what we're looking for. Let me go back to the to Firefox and read some documentation now. Okay. And the documentation here doesn't have a lot. Let's see. Because what I need is I need an append and create if it doesn't exist. So I don't know if it's A plus or if it's AW or if you need to create the file first. Let's see. Or did I do something really stupid actually? Let me check. No, I thought I was updating the readable stream, but I was updating the writable stream. So that should have worked. But let's look for the other flags then and see if flag that actually does what it's supposed to do. So so let's see if there is something here that shows us how can we create a file and append to it at the same time. So because if we go to let's see, if we try to run this, I'm just closing some needed stuff. This two and this. I'm just removing some windows I'm not using. Um, okay, so now it's cleaner for me to move between windows. So let's try and remove this. Let's see if I did something worse, or like if the issue is maybe I mistyped something here. And let's try that one. Okay, so the idea is the issue is still there. So let's see what the issue is. And the issue is I did not do this. So let's go back to append, and then let's add the, okay. So append apparently creates the file too. So you can see here that the file is actually created. So the code we had in the beginning actually works. So this flag is about, like, you can have add or write or read, I think. I don't know why you would have read in a writable stream, but it's add append with add, so with an A and W to write, so that one is overwrites the file. So let's try this again, just to see if it's actually appending to the file. And you can see it's adding to it. And let's do it again. And let's reopen the file, and you can see it just keeps on adding to it. So now we know how to like add to the file instead of just rewriting the file every single time. So let's go and change the this here to do that in a loop. And I want to do this, I don't know, a lot of times. So I will do something. So I will just try and see what happens. So okay, and then let's do this, I don't know, 100 times. And I'm just going to put this in here. And I want to see how it's going to behave actually. So, okay, where did this go? Okay, so this actually worked. I was thinking that I might run into some I/O issues because I'm opening a file for read and write 100 times, but it's not. So let's push it. Let's see if this is going to fail or not. And let's hope we don't run into the uh, the counter limit. Okay, and now it's working. So now I should have like 30,000 records. And how many records we have in this file? We don't have the numbers for it, but we're still too far away from that one. So let's put the number here to generate the data. So let's create, let's say we have what's called a couple of millions of records as our test file. And let's see if this works or not. Now I'm just trying to test this and see if it works. So the idea is try to push the readable streams and try to push some, play around a bit with the file system library and see what's happening. So did we get any errors? Did it fail? Okay, and it failed. And let's see why it failed. And we failed because we have a heap allocation issue. So what effectively happened now is every time we go in here, we create a readable stream and we create a writable stream. And we try to do this 2 million times. And what happened there is we try to create 2 million objects and we can't create 2 million objects. We can't hold them in memory. So that's actually what happened there. And because of that, we can do it. But let's see the result of this. And the result of this is actually it did not even run. So if we try to get down to the value it was before, like 10,000, and run the same file again, it now the file is getting too big. It works and it adds like 30,000 more records into here. So now it's 60,000. So let's see how can we fix this. So every time we go through with this, we create a readable stream and a writable stream, and then we want to what's called we want to do this 10,000 times or million times. So let's get this out of here and let's try again. And now we have a memory leak, and because we're setting a lot of listeners on that, so that is even stupider. Okay, so let's do this. So what happened there is, I didn't forget to take. So what happened in the when I removed this is actually, and every time we go and we have one readable stream and we try to attach 10 million listeners to it, 10,000 listeners to it, and JavaScript is like, no, you can't do that. And the same here, we have a lot of pipes and we have some memory leaks, and let's see the output of this. Is it adding to the file? It is adding to the file. Did it start? Yeah, now it's stopped. So that one piped to the file 10,000 times. So what we have here, and I'm just reading the errors, so to understand what's happening. So possible event emitter memory leak is detected, 11 event our end listeners added or driver like the events. So here we have this readable stream and writable stream, and when we pipe, the readable stream or the writable stream and the readable stream are listening to each other events. So like the writable stream is listening to the data event from readable stream, and the readable stream is listening, for example, to like pause event from writable stream. So this is what's happening here. I think I would leave it like this for now, because let's do something that we came here to do, which is actually doing the transform. And maybe in the next stream, or if we have time, we'll find a way to make this way better, because this is not a good way of doing this. And let's try and run this, what's it called, more times than we did before. And let's see if we can do that or not. Because last time we ran out of heap, and I think we're gonna run out of heap here too. Because what will happen is um, we're going to add event listeners, and event listeners are objects too. So if you create 1 million of them, you're still going to have some issues. Okay. I'm going to check the activity monitor and see if it works or not. I want to see if I'm going to break my computer doing this. It's just a side effect doing this. Okay, this. It's not working. So let's try it again, see if it's going to add to the file or not. So no, it did not work like at all. It did not even manage to run the file. So that's going to be an issue want to create a big data set. So that's so let's see. So at 10,000, it's it's managing. Like you can see here, we got 30 more 30,000, going to be like 180,000 records here. And then at less than that, or at more than that, it's getting hung. So let's try. I want to see the limit actually. I want to play around with this. Let's see if it can handle 100,000 records now. Okay. Okay, so it's running with 100,000. Let's see the file. I know the file is getting bigger and bigger now. And I'm going to look at the this. I'm looking at the Node.js memory, and it's not taking a lot of memory actually, because it's over, like it's just waiting for some stream events to be done, and you have a lot of them. So what we're gonna do now is try to make this work somehow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to have a writable stream, and then I'm going to add, an event. So now I'm just improvising and try to find a solution to this. So on end, let us see how we can make this work. So I'm going to do something I hate, which is keep a global variable in here. So let's keep I in here. So this is going to be shared by all the streams. And then when the stream is over, we're going to pipe the writable stream, and then we're going to increase I by 1, and then we're going to add a check if I, that's it, okay? And I'm using, what's it called? The plugin I'm using now. I'm going to switch to coding scene. I'm not using the browser for a while. I'm gonna try and resolve this. I'm using this plugin named Codota, which is an AI assistant, but I mean, I'm not used to it yet, or it's not used to me, I would say, because it's AI. So I'm not getting a lot of help. It gets a lot of things wrong, but I did not really use it that much, to be honest. So let's try and run this again and see what this does. And this did absolutely nothing, or like it did not do absolutely nothing, but it went through with the event, it piped them through, and then it did not rerun them again. So just it just did nothing. Like it just ran it once and it did not go with this. So let's try with the readable stream and see if this makes it any better. Probably it won't. So this will, where's the sample big file? This will run once and then it won't run again. And why is that? So if you have a readable stream and this, because the process is waiting for the end event, as soon as it hits here, it doesn't see this and it thinks we're done, I think. Okay, so the issue we're dealing with now is the Node.js and not waiting for stream to finish. Okay, so Node.js is not waiting for the other streams to finish. Okay, so now it's finish instead of end. Let's try. Maybe this makes it better. Let's go to this one and let's finish. But I don't think this will make it any better actually. So yeah, it's still the same. It's going to just add a 3 lines after this, and that's it. So that's not helping us. Let's see if we can find something else that can help us here. Okay. Node.js. Let's create this stream when, or like inside another stream and that. Yeah, I think I'm pushing Node.js a bit here, which is not a good sign. Like you probably should not. You probably should not be doing something that the language or the platform you're doing is like you're fighting against it. And I feel that I'm fighting against Node.js now, which is a sign to maybe stop this madness and do something else. But let's try to push it a bit more and see if I can get a solution. Otherwise, we can go through, ignore this, like pretend that this never happened and move to the actual part, which is the transformation. So let's see the, let me grab some water here. Okay. Okay, it's better. And what was I doing? Yeah, I was killing my machine, my poor little machine. Okay. So what's happening here is we're creating this writable stream. So when the writable stream finishes, we want to do something else. We want to run something else, and we want to wait for it. So I want to set timeout, and let's see the logs, and then let's see. So I want to do this. So let's see if that works. Okay, so I put 10 seconds. And what it did was it, that's actually a good side effect. Let's see. It's actually interesting. So um, what I had here is I had the timeout. So it waited for the timeout, but it did not wait for this stream to go through. So maybe if I create another stream and put it in here, then this will work. Because I'm going to show you what happened here, so you know exactly. And I'm gonna switch uh, to the scene, this one, yeah. So like if I go here and I remove this line and run this, and we open the file that we're generating again, we are getting 3 lines. So now I'm at the last line here. So we got only 3 lines. So I'm at the last line, and then I'm adding a timeout. So, and let's watch what's happening in the sample big file. So you see we have 3 lines created already, right here. And then we have the timeout. And then, no, it actually created 3. I thought it created more than 3. I don't know why. I thought it went ahead and created more than 3. Okay, so this did not work. And then why didn't it work? Because we are in a stream that called finished. But that is strange, because um, when we had the other stream, which is doing the same thing as this, but let me go back again. When we had this uh, or J, that's actually useful. Now it's moved to J instead of I. Now I love this Codota AI assistant. So it understood that I is being used and it moved to J. Okay, I can stand behind that. So if I do this, because the readable streams are created or are opened when we start, the writable stream finish is only what's called is only called when all of them or like are handled at the same time. But because we are piping again, when the writable stream is over, then it is like the writable stream is over. Then the Node.js is not waiting. So let me try and create another writable stream. So let's delete this. Let's redo this. And then let's do this again. No, let's do this again. And you probably should not be copying and pasting. You probably should do something else. Stream. Yeah. New writable stream equals new writable stream. Okay. So this, what should this do? Like, so one should verify their assumptions, or at least have an assumption. So this should add 6 lines. And the reason it should add 6 lines is because, so it added 3 lines and it added only 3 lines. Okay, I was wrong. So let me say what I was thinking. So I was thinking that this will go through, create a new writable, and then pipe the data from the readable into that writable, and then wait for that writable to be over. But maybe the readable stream is over too, like it's called on finish. So let's let's verify that, and let's remove this. Let's remove the timeout. So let's have this as writable stream finish, and then now it feels like I'm trying to solve an issue, and the issue is something I created. So like I'm just wasting time solving a problem that I created just for the sake of having a problem to solve. Finished. Then let's remove all of this. Why is this contained? I can because of this. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so there is an end and there is a finished event. I thought they were the same, but okay, so for readable, it's finished, and for writable, it's end. Okay, so the readable is on end and the writable is on finished. Yeah, that's nice to know actually. And okay, so on and the readable is finished. And then we're piping the same readable again into that file. So if we read new readable, and then we pipe this to the other one. So let's see. Okay, let's go to the sample file. Let's go down. So now I'm at the last line. And let's see the effect that has. So how many lines are added? So you have one line, like you have 3 lines, and you have 3 lines. So that means that this went through, created the new streams, and waited for them to end. But it did not go through again because these streams, like the finished event, is created on these streams. So if we can generate what's called create something that generates the streams, this here, and listens for I and generate the event, then I think we actually can manage something. So let's add this part here. Okay, and now it's going to be some weirdness to write this. Now I'm thinking a bit. I know what I'm doing is totally stupid and useless, but I'm already down that rabbit hole, so might as well do something. Um, so uh, and so what I want to do is I want to be able to do this. And I want to be able to do this too at the same time. Okay. Okay. The difference is we want to have this as a new readable stream. And then instead of having this here, we are going to have to do this. So, and I will go ahead and put you what I'm thinking of. So what this does is, or what I'm thinking about doing here, is to create a stream, a new writable and new readable stream, uh, like new ones, and then piping the input between them. So create a new readable stream, read the file, pipe between the two files, and then wait for the file to be finished. And if it's finished, then we have the global variable e, then I will try and make not global, that we increase, and then we run this function again. That's going to do the same until everything is done. So let's run this, and because this is a recursive function, then I hope it doesn't blow up my computer. So let's hope I did not create a fork bomb. That's always an issue with these. Okay, and it did not even work. So that was not what I wanted actually. So let's go back and let's see what's happening. So we are creating this file over here, and then, or I've been creating this stream, and then when the stream is finished, we are calling this function that creates two new streams, and then pipes them, and then it calls itself. So I don't know how many times it's being called. So I want to track the, and I hate debugger, so I only use the console.log. And you can argue that debuggers are good. I hate them. Um, they give you more than you should know. So I rely on calling the functions more. Yeah. Okay, so this was called once. Okay, so this function was called once, and then the so what's happening? I don't get it. Okay, so I had a typo. Okay, so now it makes sense. I was streaming on finished on the readable stream, and readable stream doesn't have finish, so it was just a typo. So now we're going to have 10,000, or how much we have? 100,000 one of these messages, and I'm just checking the activity monitor just to check how horrible this is. And it's not horrible. The Node.js is at 120 MBs right now. So we're not really doing anything with the memory. And if we open the file, which is what this whole thing is about, is writing to the file. The file should have the data now, and you can see we run, and the data keeps on coming. So I think we managed to create the what's it called? An OGS script that takes the data from one file and runs it around 100 and 1,000 times if it finishes without blowing my machine, of course, and then to create its sample test file. And I think this is way what's complicated, because what you could have done is you could have used the let's keep this over here, and now it's finished. Okay, So what you could have used is you could have used just this. So this will take the output and put it over there, and then you can uh, like write a for loop in Bash, and it will work. But I just wanted to use this because some people on Windows can't run that command, and I thought this is going to be easier than this. I thought that, oh yeah, just let's just use some readable streams into writable streams, pipe them. How horrible is this going to be? And it's horrible. It took way more than it should. So it's like I'm almost 40 minutes in the stream, and um, I did not even start working on the good part, or the reason why I started this stream. So I'm drinking some water. That's why there is some silence. Okay, so now that we have this abomination of a file here that has every single best practice ignored, let's try and make it a bit cleaner or a bit better. So what I'm going to have here is I'm going to have move this variable from being global to being a parameter here. So let's name it counter. Okay, and then let's use counter, and then let's do like this. No, I think it's practice. And let's run it 100% just for the sake of something. And then it starts from 1, and then let's set this as a variable. And 2, so this one number of justifications, and then let's remove this, let's remove this, and let's remove this. So this one, so let's see what I did here. So I had a global variable, and then I decided like you should not have global variables, which you should not. So I have the variable now as part of the function, and that will allow you to get the counter will be only accessible within that function. And every time I make a call, I'm incrementing that variable and passing it through. So the next time it's going to go through and check if, and this one is a constant. So let's think of this as a config value. So there is no problem of having it as a global um, as a global thing. It's not a variable. It's like you can have it from config or process.env or through the CLI, or that's just a configuration value. But the actual variable that is being used is not shared by the functions or the streams. So it's only shared once. And let's see if it works. So if I go to the sample big file now, and let's run this. So it's going to create like 300 records now. So let's see, it's like 393. If I go down like, yeah, 696 or something. So yeah, it went through and created these instances, or like these, copied this file 100 times, and we don't have a global shared variable. So I think this is actually a good exercise, even though it's pretty useless. Like the time I spent doing this, you could have just run the other function and maybe installed the Linux in your machine, so you would have Bash by default. Like you're going to take less time to install, if you don't run into issues, of course. So now what that means is we can generate the big file. So what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to give you a like an issue with this code, for example, which is the fact that is sequential. So what we have here is we are running this at the same time, like not at the same time, but we are opening a file, and every time we finish processing the file, we open a file again, and we do it again and again and again, like a million times or 100 times or something. So right now I'm going to set this to 1 million. I'm going to create I'm going to have the sample file. I'm going to go to resources and put it there because it's a resource. So this file, the small file, is going to go through and get to, okay, why is this being ignored? Because this is only going to be ignored. But no, it did something stupid there because this one should not be ignored. Okay, now it's not ignored. Or okay, anyway, I will fix this later. So let's create this here. Like let's have this file run for more than, let's not have 3 lines only. Let's have 9 lines. So just for fun. So we have sample that goes from 1 to 9. This gives us like more options to do some ifs and else's while we're doing some processing. And now we have these two, one big file and one small file. So I'm going to delete the content of this file. Okay. And if it would save the file. And then I'm going to go here and then I'm going to add the resources directory. Okay, so, and then I have the sample file, and then I'm going to create the sample file big.txt based on that one. So this one is going to open this file and a million times and do that. And let's what's it called? Let's have a progress bar or like progress percentage just for fun. It's like we're here, so might as well do it. So progress, and then let's put counter plus divided plus number of duplications. Okay, so now we can see the progress, and let's see the percentage. So let's see. So it's this divided by this divided by counter multiplied by 100. I hope I did the math correctly there, otherwise I'm gonna look stupid. Okay, let's add a tab, character, let's add this, let's add this here, let's add this here, and then let's add a percentage sign. Let's see if this works. So let's see. And I did something stupid here, I think, or maybe the format is not good. But you can see here we have at least the progress. And if you open the sample file, and you can see the number of records now is at 100,000, and it's just going to keep on. Come on, keep on appending to it. It's not. Let's open it again. Yeah, I was dealing like the hard drive I/O was full, so it was not able to read the file actually. So, and I'm actually saving the video, so I'm just bashing the SSD. So let's see how much memory this is using. So right now, Node.js is using 135 MB, which is like I don't know if it's 135 or 64 because they have two instances running, and it's stable. It's not moving up or down. And we are at 15% or 16%, so this is going to take a long while. So if you have any questions or if there is something that was not clear, you can ask now. And if you ask like why are you doing this? This is useless. Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. So you can ask your questions in the comment. I'm gonna bring some water. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. So we're almost at 50% now. So I'm gonna wait for this to run, and then I'm going to start on the transform part. And now because we have this, no, I have a lot of headphones. I'm putting the wrong one. I need to put the monitoring headphones so I can listen to myself, which is always weird. But I can see if the stream sounds horrible. Um, so what I'm going to do next, yeah, the microphone is not in the correct spot. So what I'm going to do next is after this run, which is at 50% now, is I'm going to start working on the actual transforming of a real, like this sample file that has 10 records in it, and we're going to start to do some processing. So we're going to do line items, like lines that end with 2. We're going to make them disappear. And lines that are divided by 3, we're going to make them, I don't know, we're going to append to them divisible by 3. And something like that, just to see how can we get this, how can we work with this data and the streams. So this is almost done. it's not almost, it's gonna take like 3 more minutes. I'm gonna rest a bit, my throat hurts. So, and yeah, we're gonna just do that. This file creation part or like generation part took way more than I anticipated. I was thinking it's gonna be like like 10 minutes, but it ended up almost 1 hour of work. And I think that's what the issue with like normal developments, like whenever you estimate something, you're either too high or too low. I'd rather be too high. It's like, yeah, it's gonna be take a couple of days and then you do it in a couple of hours. Let me do something else without being stressed. So yeah, now I'm getting my voice back. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stop this. We have a counter. This is wrong. I will see why this. I'm gonna look at what did I write there. So it's yeah, it's this divided by this. It's the so that's just run this OR. And yes, now we have a percentage that looks like a real percentage. So and then we can do some formatting here. So it's just showing only two after the what's called the comma or the period. So yeah, but now we have yeah, that was something that was bugging me. So now we have the percentage working and we have a small counter and this takes a lot of time, but by the end we're going to generate your test data. So this is how to generate your test data, and this one, if you open this file, this file have 200 and okay, it's like 2.4 million records. So yeah, this file is a good, like the data now is just like line 1 to 10, so it's not a lot of data, so it's 16 MBs only. But if you had like CSV with 10 or 20 uh, separate fields in it, then this file is going to, like the size is going to grow a lot because you're just going to multiply that by the number of this. And then you're going to end up with a lot of data. So now we can start working on the interesting part, the transformation of this file here. And let's create a directory here named output. So our stuff is not littered all over the place. And you can add this, add to git ignore. So this one is like this. So now this directory is ignored because we don't want to get the results that of this output into Git. This is like the result if you run. You don't put that the generated stuff in Git. So now let's copy this file, the readable transform writable file, and then let's create something that is um, filter and transform. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to have a readable stream that's going to read from our resources directory slash simplify. It's sample.txt. So that's the file we're going to read. We're going to read the small file now, and then we're going to read the big file. And then we are going to, this one is the other transform example we have. So it has a readable stream, a transform stream, and a writable stream. And what we want to do is we want to go in the transform stream and then um, what's it called? And then transform the data or like read the file or like read the line and transform it and have some ifs to do some filtering and uh, do some transformation to the data before we send it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run this and I'm going to I'm going to show what we have. So instead of what's it called? Instead of like we need to know what we're dealing with. What do we get when we read this or when we start this? So let's do it. And data plus and like to string. Okay, and then let's run this file, which is filter and transform. Okay, so and you can see here we did not get the data line by line. We got the whole file at the same time, and then we need to do and process the file at the same time, and that is not really useful. So let's go to our friend uh, internet, and let's see how can we do that. So Node.js stream, and then line by line. So how can I stream line by line? And you can see here there is a package that is built into Node named readline. I was actually expecting this to be the first result. I don't know what this one is doing, but this one is what I was expecting, which is a built-in stream. There are some streams built into Node.js, and one of them is readline. So, and what we do is we let's go to this. Let's go to this scene because it's going to be coding for a while, and then let's add this here. So this one is readline. And what this is, and let's go to the demo start. Let's go to the actual code for the readline. And is there so right? I'm trying to look for if it has any better documentation. Okay, let's go to this one. So this one is readline. So this is documentation. I was looking to see the construction of it, but it's not what I expected to find. Okay, so let's see how this one is can be used. So I was trying to find if it's transform or not. So you have a create line, and then you have the input and you have the output, and that's this example here. So which I don't like. So let's look for something else. Read line. Five. Okay, there is a package that does that does this. Don't want to do that with a package. So let's see the. So okay, so actually readline does not have a piping mechanism built into it. It's a stream, but doesn't adhere to the stream interface. Yeah, thank you, Node.js, like usual. Um, so, and this is a specification or like a request, and uh, and some people are like trying to get this inside the backlog, and yeah, it's not looking good. So there is a package that does this, and then it reads the lines line by line, and then this one reads n number of lines, and yeah, this one is using some packages. So let's try this. Let's try to use the Node.js module itself. So let's copy this. Let's see what we get through this, and then let's make the jump to libraries when it's time to use them. I think it's a bit too early. Let's try to play around with what Node.js has to offer for us. Okay, so I just copied code from the documentation and I just pasted it here. So what do we have here? It's create interface read line, and then it reads this one, and then it reads the other one, and then let's go to the. So this one is the one that's being missed. So terminal false because we're not running in a terminal. And then let's see, the output is the readable stream. I want to see how this will look like. Readable stream, and the output is this here. Okay, it doesn't want to do that, so let's forget. So what I'm trying to do now is to have a read line by line, and what I was hoping to have actually. This is what I hope, because I do not really use read line. I just know it exists, to have something like this, and that's it. That's what I hope to have. Like you get your readable stream, you pipe it to read line, and then read line will go ahead and like stream it line by line. But apparently that's not how they implemented readline for some bizarre reason. And now you're stuck with this weird interface. Um, and then what you have here is you have readline dot. What was the function that the other guy used? Let's see. Yeah, I was on the wrong timeline. Okay, so this one has line, and then okay, so that one have online, and then it went to, I think this split view is stupid. This one is stupid. It's covering all the code. This one makes more sense to have. So, and then that one. So I'm gonna see if this one works. And let's see. So this one is output stream. This one I'm going to remove. This one is going to be const, and this one is, yeah. So let's run this and see what we have. And it's not working. Okay. Okay, so this one is not working because it's stupid. Let's rename this. Output stream. Okay, and then let's put output stream, and then it's complaining that this here is not a buffer. So we buffer from line. What's it complaining about? Okay, let's write line here. Okay, and let's put the output stream here, the output stream here. I forgot to put the output stream correctly. Okay. And this was not called correctly. So let's see what's happening. Okay, so we have our input stream. So I know the input is working correctly. And then I can do, what's it called? I can call output stream dot write, and then I can write the data there. But I don't know why is this not receiving the data. Put stream. So let's see. Let's try and see what's the issue here. So we have a readable stream that reads data from a file. That is the start of this, and then we have a transform that handles that, and then after that we have a writable stream. So if we go through and where is the let's get the arrow. If we go through and do this, we get the shank data and get this. So we read the readable stream, and then it's piped through, and then we have a writable stream, and then the data gets written to a file. So this one here is working as it should. I don't know where's this on the writable stream. Let's put the writable stream correct place actually. And then let's say filter and transform. So we're writing the data to the wrong file. So let's see what the output looks like in here. And the output here is the, okay. So this one is actually went through, but it did not call the hmm, let's do this one and see what we get. Okay, so I'm just deleting the data, or the I'm just deleting the file here. Okay, so it was just complaining that the file's been used. Okay, so this one actually got the data, but I don't know why transform was not called, because what I did here is let's enter the file, okay, and let's see what we have. We have this readable stream, we have a writable stream that checks the data, and then we have a writable stream. We have a transform stream that transforms the data, and we have a writable stream that goes through and transforms the data, like writes the data out. And then we have an out stream that goes uppercase transformer, like this transform, and then pipes it to the writable stream. So when I put the data from the readable stream to the writable stream, it, okay, so now this worked correctly. Okay, so that is really fun. So, and let me remove this and see if this is doing anything. Okay, this is not doing anything. So this here is reading the data. So what's happening here is we are reading the data from the uppercase, and then we're transforming the data okay, plus in the line. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, so now we have, so now what we have now is we have a readable stream, an uppercase stream, and a writable stream, and we're reading it line by line. And then I'm gonna explain what I understood from what happened here. So we created the interface and we created the input, which is the readable stream. The output doesn't matter here. And then we had the terminal, and every time we get a line, we write that line into the uppercase transform, the transform that we have, and then that transform is piping that to the writable because we piped that. So every time that transform receives a file, because it's piped to the writable stream that writes to the file, it automatically writes that to the file. So let's run this and let's take a look at the, okay, it's too fast to do anything. So let's do it the set timeout. And let's wait 1 second. So let's empty this file and let's see how this will work. And let's hope it works, of course. So, okay, why is it complaining? Ah, okay. Yeah, this won't work. Okay, that's actually fun. Okay, like if you can look here, let's empty the file and okay. So the file is empty now, and let's go and run this again. So every second you should have a new line here. So if we close the file and open it, you can see like it's going line 8, and then if we close the file and open it again, you can see it has line 9. And let's get back to the way it was. So it's going through to the file and it's appending stuff to it. And now we have the data one line at a time, and with the line ending at the end, or let's have it without the line ending at the end, and then let's add the line ending when we do the transform. So when we push that with the line ending at the end. So if you need the line ending, then we do the filter, and then if we go here, it should have the same data. Okay, so let's rename this to filter and transform stream. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to filter. So we're gonna do if chunk dot string equals line 2, also dot line 2 was hit. Okay, where's the issue? Ah, yeah. Yes, it makes sense. I forgot to rename this node. Okay, let's run again. And I forgot to rename it again. So you can see here now, because we have the data line by line, we can actually, let's remove this because we have a lot of noise, and let's run again. So you can see, and let's remove this because I don't really need this anymore. You can see here now that we have line 2 was hit. Maybe I should go and make it the bigger scene so you have better look at the code. And maybe I should close this. Up to you. Is there a way to close this one? Apparently there is not. Okay. I thought I can close this one, but I can't. So you can see here after running the file, now we can have an if, and then what we can do if 2 was hit is to do nothing else we push the data. So if we go here now, there is no 2. So what we're doing now, we're telling it if 2 was found, like just log the 2 was found, and that's it. Otherwise, push the data. So maybe what we can do is we can do like this instead. And now you can see that, let's save this file. Let's have this, and now we have line 1 to 9 without any line 2. We have line 1, 3, so we skipped line 2. So what we did was we got the data, and when you call callback, it goes through. So you're telling it, I'm done. And if you have callback with, let's say it's hi. Hi is always not good. It's good. Good. So if you pass anything to callback, that raises an error and stops everything. So now we got nothing and nothing, and it tells you hi. That's a good error message. It handles line 1 because we already sent it through, and then because callback have an error or have something in it, it raises an error. So that's how you like tell it to go through or to stop. So because we say like if it's line 2 or if the line is different from line 2, push it, that pushes it through. Otherwise, it does nothing, and it always calls callback. So it always says, I'm done, like I handled the data. And when you say that, that's it. So that's why 2 was filtered. That's how we can filter, is we have our filtering condition, and then we don't push the data. And then we call callback. So that means what we're actually doing, if we make this clearer in a way, is if the data is not 2, do this. Else, if the data is the data to be filtered, call the callback without pushing the data. Uh, does this have a flip? Not that flip. Yes. So I want to flip it like this. So this one is better to understand or to show what's happening. So if the data is the data we need to filter, we only call callback. Otherwise, we push the data to the next consumer, and then we call callback. And then, yeah, and then I'm going to go back to the shorter version. So let's see, it's this one. So we always call callback, and if we need to process the data, we process it, otherwise we just ignore it. So right now we have the filtering part. Let's add the transform part, and we already have it with this one, but I'm not going to do that one now. I'm going to go and what's it called? Uh, do some more condition in there. So this if it's different than 2, and then um, if let's see case or let's do switch statement, switch and chunk dot string, and then let's do a case. Okay, and let's do dot split by space dot 1, and then case 3, and then let's type this here as a variable. So what I'm doing is I'm splitting the string into multiple strings, and then I'm checking the second part because we have space, then the number part. So what we're saying is if the second part is 3, then I want to push this instead. And let's have a break, of course. And let's have a default. And default does nothing. default does this. Okay, and let's see. So if the data is case is 3, then we're going to create a new string that is this dot push split string 0 plus like 333. And let's run this and let's see how horribly it's going to fail. It failed to do anything. Okay. So let's delete this. Let's save. Let's run again. And let's see what we get. So this does nothing. Okay, so let's see what we got in the cage. Or did we even go inside the inside this here? Because I think I know the issue is this. Yes. The issue was I was comparing a number to a string. So that was the issue. And that is an issue that can cause you a headache. But I was lucky I found it very fast. So you can see that we got the line and then we are transforming the data. And now I think with, even though this here, the readable stream part, or not the readable stream, but the read line part is horrible. This here is like allows you to read line by line. I'm gonna go through and install a library to do read line by line in another example, just to show how to use it with pipes, because using pipes is more consistent. And being consistent, especially with this weird API, like the interface is actually, it was meant for terminal, not for piping. They were not thinking that people will use it to handle files, and then people decided to use it to handle files because that's a better use case. And so we have this here that is splitting the file, and then we are, what's it called? We are transforming it, and then we're putting it in there. So right now, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to have this object, instead of creating a returning a string, return an object, and then have another stream here that like puts that object into string somehow. So let's create another stream, const. This one is, let's call it, because we need to have a string, let's call string defined stream equals, let's copy this, and let's delete all of this. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're writing a string for the writable stream or a buffer, otherwise we can't do it. So what I'm going to transform now is I'm going to have this return an object, like an actual JavaScript object, and have here something that takes that JavaScript object and shows, like, for example, line number, uh, and then like I don't know what this object will have. So let's go around to doing that. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to ignore line 2 because I hate 2. I don't know why. Like just 2. And let's remove this switch statement here because it's just showing how to do that thing. And then let's we have this what's called the split here. So let's use that. Let's keep that part. So we have the, or do you know what? I'm going to keep this file as it is right now, and I'm going to create another file. So this one, if I'm going to push to Git, you can look at this file later and see how things were done. So, and then let's do filter and transform objects. So this file is the same as the other one, except it uses this here. I should have these and the constants up there, but I'm too lazy to do it now. You should not be lazy. You should never be lazy. I'm not setting a good example. Stringify. Come on, help me please. Let's stringify stream equals, and let's take this here because I'm lazy. And then let's remove the whole body of the function. And then, okay. Object. Okay. And then let's see. So we're going to remove the switch statement and the default statement and this here. So now what we have here, we have if the we're just going to ignore line number 2. That's all it's doing. So if we go to the, where's the output? No. So if we go here, it's just ignoring line number 2 and it's applying uppercase. So let's remove uppercase and let's have it does that. And then what are we going to do is we're going to have a JavaScript object, and then we're going to have line or like field name line or split string 0 value split string 1, and then we're going to put data now. And then in here we're going to just, this one is a stringify, so we're just going to, or let's try and see what happens with this. Okay, so it's telling you that you can't, or like the uh, the chunk argument must be of type buffer, and you sent an object, so that's why it's failing. I transform this into an object, I push the object, but the file, like the writable stream for files, only accepts string data, either a buffer or normal data. So now I'm going to just transform that into normal data. So using this stringify stream. So this will take the object and it will push a string with data. So let's create the string plus data, and then let's create a fallback. So, and then I'm going to make it look better. And then we are going to go to the, where are we creating out, where are we piping this here? And then instead of piping the writable string, we are going to pipe to the stringify stream first, and then we're going to, okay, and it's still failing. Or is it failing? Okay, it's still failing, and let's see why is it failing. And I think the transform type, because there are two types of streams. One is text stream and one is object stream, and I think the object stream is the the stream is still on text stream. So I thought when you push objects, it gets transformed to object mode, but you need to set object mode correctly yourself. So I was thinking that when you push an object, it's going to push object directly. So when we create the streams, we pass in the object mode equals true. Or no, not like that. It's like this. The object mode. So now this. So we have the transform function is actually in the options. And if we pass the option object mode, this to data. If we move this to object mode, so now the stream is handling objects instead of text. And so we're pushing objects as an output. And then if we go to the objects output, it's giving us object, which is fine. But now let's do the normal, where is it? JSON stringify data encoding. We don't have any encoding, so we are just going to have it like this. And we have an extra one here. And now what we have here is and let's add a end of line just to make it look better. And now what we have here is we have JSON output of that object in here as a what's it called? As the output of the whole thing. So we took this format, not this format, where's the format? We took this format here, we transformed it into JSON, and we ignored line 2 because we hate number 2. So we actually have like a JSON now with when we parse that using space here. So this here is how to transform that thing into JSON. So I'm going to go through this part here. If you have any questions, even though this is still borderline useless, but now we have managed to get data. The part I hate is the read line part. This is a bit confusing because everything else uses pipes, which is really convenient and makes sense, but read line is like, no, that's too easy for me. I'm not gonna do that. And because it's not using pipes, it's actually gonna cause a lot of problems later. So I will probably use another library to rewrite this. So maybe in the next 5 minutes we can use a event emitter library. And make this even more streamlined. Like if we remove these lines, that will make it a lot better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the generated, and I'm going to go to the sample big, and I'm going to transform that one. So this one is going to take time, and let's see if how good our solution works with a big file. generated sample big.txt, and then the output file objects. Okay, let's kill our machine. So right now we have this output that has a lot of data in it, and it actually finished fast. Okay, that was fast. That was good. That was a good exercise. So now we took that big, like not really big file, but yeah, like sizable file, and we created the JSON of all the fields it has there. Because it says only 1, 2, 3, it doesn't have data from. Okay, I thought we are gonna have data from the other ones. Did I do something wrong? Let's see. What about the other ones? Okay. Okay, I'm a bit confused, to be honest. So this file here have line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And then this file here had 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And this one here have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. Okay. What's the issue with the file here? Okay. Okay, so the data here is getting to the file 1, 2, 3. So the issue is the data here actually. Now what's the issue with the data here? Let's see. The generate data has some issues with it. So let's remove this big file here. Come on. And now my map froze and I all hell broke loose. Okay, no, it's still working. So let's save this. So now we don't have that file, and let's run node generate test data. Okay. So if I go to generate test data, yes, it has the wrong file. That's why. It's putting the wrong file because it has the wrong file here. That's why you should not have variable, you should have a configuration up. And let's clean this here. I just wanted to see if I'm losing my mind or if there was an issue with the file. And there was an issue with the file. So now if we run generate data, we found a bug in generate data. Like the useless generate data file have more issues in it, other than the fact that it's totally useless. So all in all, I would say that we managed to get a file that has two fields, filter on the number, and then go through the file, or like those numbers there, and what's called first transform them and do some filtering directly on them, and second is to, instead of dealing with strings, we switched to object mode, and then we send the object. So that means, for example, is instead of doing this here, what we can do is, let's do a better way of doing it, which is filter screen equals unit stream dot transform, and then let's add transform, and then let's add object mode group, and then instead of having this check here, let's have the check here, and then and the reason I want to have the check here actually is because it makes it really easier. And this one will do only one thing, because right now, if you're talking from single responsibility perspective, this is doing two things. It's filtering and parsing. So this one would just parse. So let's rename this to parse stream. This one is filter, and this one is stringify. So let's take the first one, and then let's where's the output here? Let's take if this one says shine, let's have to data, if data dot field name or dot value equals or like we do this, and then we do this, and then we remove this from here, we remove this from here, and this one here only. So this one here only creates so this one here is parsing the input. And if you have any questions, of course, ask them. Just like regenerating the data and going through this transform part here. I think we're gonna be done with this really soon. Even my phone died. I can't really see the stream. I can't, because I'm monitoring it using my phone. Sorry, I was putting my phone on my charger. I was monitoring my stream using my phone, and my phone died. I still have access to the chat in a separate window, but I was just checking and making sure that everything looks fine on the phone. And I'm just cleaning up this a bit. So right now it's let's start this in line. Like it now it looks really simple. If you start to use objects, deal with objects, um, and what's it called, and have the I lost my train of thought actually. Yeah, and have them smaller filter parts that you combine using pipe. It makes everything more manageable. So let's pipe that here. So we have the first stream that is okay. I love AI actually. Stream. So we have the first stream that is doing the parsing. We have the second stream that doing the filtering, the third stream that doing the stringify, and then it's putting this data into a writable stream. So we have all of this right now. I'm gonna stop this file generation, and then I'm going to run the one from object, and it should go and what's it go? Where is it writing? Did I do it wrong again? Oh, I did not. Okay, this is growing, but okay. Let's stop this. Let's be in the file, of course. The file had a lot of garbage in it. Come on. Let's delete the file in here. Yes, delete the file. Yes, delete the file. Okay, then delete the file. Yeah, okay, so we deleted the file. And then let's run that again. And now you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and this will handle the whole the other big file. And I don't know how much data we have in this file. We have 46 MBs in this file. So it's going to be a lot of data on the other output file. And I'm not right now just waiting for this to finish. Oh. I'm sorry, I did not. I thought I had the screen in the coding scene, but I was on the split for a while and I forgot to change. So that's yeah. I think keeping it on the coding scene makes more sense. Looks looks better. Like I really don't like having like the reason I want to have it the split one is when I'm going through coding and a browser scene at the same time. But I forgot to switch back, so things to learn later. But now the file finished processing, so um, let's play for a minute. And as you can see, even the hard drive is struggling to and the connection is like my hard drive is even struggling to open the file. But as you can see here, it's getting it's creating the file with the JSON like output, and it handled the big file really fast without any issues. So this output here, because it's smaller, we can actually have these smaller units like parse input string, like this parse stream, this filter stream, this stringify stream, like as really composable modular structures that you can just play around with and have as a way to like expand your code or your solution. The what's called there are some really good libraries that use this, and I think in the next example or the next stream, like I think this is the hardest part or the most complex part of this streaming session. Not really. There is still the stream back pressure that we need to worry about, and let's try and have an example with that next time. And I don't really know. I don't really have a solution for that. I have some things I tried that worked, and that is like when you have a writable or like your output is way slower than your input, so your data just clogs up your like ends up in your memory instead of being streamed slowly. So we need to have a mechanism to have the writable stream tell the input stream that, hey, I have enough, please stop sending the data. And with, for example, with this setup with readline, that's not possible. But let's worry about that when we hit that. So next time, right now I'm still sticking to basic Node.js like modules from the standard library. Next time, we're going to start using like Node.js or npm packages, and this will allow us to use get better use case in less time. So right now, for example, if we wanted to parse CSV, so what you would have to do here is you would have to have like this here, and then you have other data file, then something. So, and you can see how and then instead of splitting by space, you split by comma, and then you have your fields, and then you can create an object out of them. So we go here, and in the split, where is the split? In the parse input, this parting parse, instead of splitting by space, it splits here, and then you have CSV parser, a basic one, but it's a CSV parser. But the next time I'm actually going to go through and um, uh, create a or use some libraries like mainly CSV parser to actually parse the data, and then instead of having the data in the writable stream to a file, we are going to have a writable stream that calls an API or puts the data in a database. So, and that's going to be really slow. Um, and because of that, we might end up actually facing like stream back pressure, and we might end up with a lot of memory. So I'm going to run this filter, and you need to believe me on this. And so, and then I'm going to add another window. Not seen. And display capture. Let me just set. Okay, no, and that was not what I wanted. So let me remove this, of course. I'm just going to show the what's called. I'm going to show the Node.js memory, and then I'm going to call it an end for this stream. So yeah, window capture and window. Okay, and then let's create activity monitor, of course, and then let's press done. Okay, so now you can see the activity monitor. I'm going to push it in the middle of the screen. So this is an overlay, and I'm going to run the Node.js. And if you look here, even though it's really small, I can't make this any bigger. I can zoom here. If you look here, you can see the Node.js memory, and the memory usage is horrible. Like so we're actually dealing with some stream back pressure right here, actually. So the data the memory usage was 1.2 gig, and now it's getting down because we started to handle the data. So actually this is good or bad. I mean, you should not have this in production, of course, but this is showing that yes, even with this pipes and all, this read line, we need to streamline this. But it gives us a problem to fix next time, which is how can we get this memory under control? Like you don't really want to have this amount of memory usage in here. So that's what we're gonna do next time. It's gonna involve me doing some stupid stuff that I don't really understand 100%. and probably showing you something wrong, but let's have some fun and let's do it next time. Thank you for watching this time. It's been longer than the last time. I think it's double the time. I feel boring and really horrible, but I actually enjoyed doing the like solving some problems because I'm just solving stuff. I don't really want to plan these. Otherwise, it's just gonna look what's called robotic, and it's more about showing the process of trying to solve some problems, even though the problems don't really have a lot of values, real world value in them, but at least we're trying to solve them. And then maybe next time or the times after we get some projects or some ideas that we can try to solve, not just weird problems that I create that should not even exist. So yeah, thank you for watching, and tune in next time. I'll probably stream maybe once or twice in the middle of this week, or maybe on Friday. I will aim to stream again on Wednesday or Thursday, but I'm not. Yeah, like around this time when I started, 7 Sweden time. So take care. Bye.